What's going on, guys? Going to be giving my quick thoughts on Aquaman. I just watched this movie for I believe, the third or fourth time. I don't exactly remember. But this movie has no goddamn right to be as good as it is. I really love this movie. Like, seriously, I do not know how Aquaman became the butt of every fucking joke when it came to a superhero to legitimately being cool. And we can honestly give that all to Jason Momoa. If Aquaman was anybody else other than Jason Momoa, I honestly don't feel like it would have the same impact to me personally because I really like the dude and I think he's funny. And he's just the perfect Aquaman. Now, I'm not a comic guy, especially on the DC side. So, I mean, as far as Aquaman goes in the comics, I got no fucking clue. But for this, it works perfectly. And he just elevates the movie so much. And I really don't think that without Jason Momoa as Aquaman, this movie would be even close to as entertaining as it is. The action scenes are some of the best I've ever seen. Honestly, they're just really, really fun to watch. Maybe not technically the best ever, but as far as watching them, they are very pleasing to watch. And I love the camera movements throughout this movie and how they incorporate CGI and, natural stuff pretty well. I think the director James Wan deserves a lot of credit for how he filmed this movie, and I just love watching it. It's really fun. A lot of the shots and all the action scenes seem to be, well, they seem to be one shot. They're not, because with all the CGI and stuff and all the different moves the actors have to do, I doubt that they're able to film all those things in one shot. But there's a lot of action scenes in this movie where the camera's just doing like 360s around everybody, and it looks really cool. This movie is also filled to the brim with CG, and I feel it's personally used very well. With a movie like Aquaman, again, I kind of just go back to the character itself of Aquaman, because I don't think you could have made this movie any better for this character, and that includes the $200 million budget spent on a shit ton of CG. There is a lot of CG in this movie, but to me it all looks good. There are some stuff where it's like, okay, that's CG, and there's a lot of it there. Like, they started to de-age some people like Willem Dafoe, and I feel like when they did that, it looked a little bit weird, and some of the stuff underwater does look kind of odd sometimes, but for the most part, this movie, I think, handles all the massive amounts of CG very well. So my favorite parts of this movie are easily Jason Momoa as Aquaman, the action scenes, and this just the overall direction. Now, as far as the story goes, to me, it's actually fine. I know a lot of people may say it's kind of weird or kind of just, I've heard bad from it, from people talking about the plot of this movie, but I actually really enjoy it, and I think it fits the movie perfectly. It's going to sound extremely simple when I say it, but you basically have this dickhead named King Orm, or Ocean Master, and he wants to take over the rest of the sea, and then he wants to take over the whole world. He wants to take over the surface world, and of course there's one man standing in the way, and that is Arthur Curry, or Aquaman. It's simple, it can get kind of crazy, and I think it works perfectly for this movie. People have some issues with it. I really don't see why. I think that it works perfectly for Aquaman, and if you would have tried to go any more, serious with it, I feel like it would have lost a lot of its just fun aspect, because you have things like, looking through bottles and shit like that. Just stuff that is, yes, it's cheesy and it's funny, but it works and it doesn't feel out of place in this movie. So overall, the plot does not bother me at all. I don't have many negatives to say about this movie, really any at all, because, if you're going into this movie expecting, like, Oscar-worthy material, which nobody should, if you're just looking to have a fun time, this movie is perfect for that. It's pretty well-paced, in my opinion. It's not perfect. It does feel like it gets, a little bit slow at times, or not necessarily slow, but just there are parts where, you want it to pick up a little bit more. But for the most part, this movie's very consistent with its action. It's very consistent with everything. I think the pacing is good. I think the performances all around are good. I know people have problems with Amber Heard, and I don't necessarily think that she's great in this movie, but she's fine with Jason Momoa, and I think their chemistry is good enough to keep the movie afloat with their two performances. I know I'm not going to go into all the shit with her, outside of this movie and just in real life in general with her and Johnny Depp, but Amber Heard, I think, is actually pretty good in this movie. Not sure if she'll be in the sequel with all the drama that's been surrounding her, but I actually don't mind her in this movie. You also have other amazing actors like Willem Dafoe and Nicole Kidman, who are two of my personal favorites, and they're awesome in the roles they're in. You can never go wrong with Willem Dafoe or Nicole Kidman, so they're money, of course, as always. You also got Dolph fucking Lundgren in this movie, which was cool to see. I kind of forgot he was in this when I watched this again, and he's always cool to see on screen. And the villain, Ocean Master, played by Patrick Wilson, I really like him. He's actually grown on me. Honestly, the first or second time I watched this movie, I didn't care much for Ocean Master as a villain, and not necessarily, I didn't have any problem with Patrick Wilson as an actor. I just thought that maybe he was a little bit too over the top, as I stuttered like crazy, my bad. But honestly, watching it for the third or fourth time, I actually like him. Like I said, he kind of grew on me, and I like the character of Ocean Master more and more each time I watch it, just because I think he is kind of over the top, but Patrick Wilson plays it very, very well. Overall, I have very little negatives to say about this movie. I love the direction by James Wan. The action scenes are amazing. The performances are solid across the board. And I think this movie is just overall super fun and one of the better movies in the DCEU. And for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and give Aquaman a B+, actually a higher rating than I gave Batman v Superman, but it just is a better movie, and I think that Aquaman is one of the better DC movies that have come out recently. I know you got Joker and Burt. They've been on a pretty good roll, man. In my opinion, I think DC has done a really, really good job with a lot of their, more solo movies like Wonder Woman, like Aquaman. When they focus on one character, that seems to be where they thrive, and I'm glad that they're going in that direction with making more just overall solo, more one character experiences. We'll see how Aquaman ages in 20 years, but at this point in time in 2020, I think that Aquaman is a very good movie, a very fun movie that a lot of people can enjoy. So at the end of the day, I recommend it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to look out for the next one. And as always, I'm out. Peace.